Hey everyone, the webinar will start in around 15 minutes. Till then, if you guys have any questions, feel free to write it in the Q&A box there. Someone just asked that what should be the general flow of arguments. So all these questions we'll take towards the end of the webinar. However, since we are all here and thank you so much for joining in, I'll just take this question. So whenever you're making a general flow of arguments, for any mood problem, it always has to move in a sequence. If there are 5 issues, you move from the most important to the least important. And the flow of argument should be establishing, how you, if suppose you were having a fight with someone and you were communicating your logic, mood has to be the same logic. And I feel that's something that we forget. We feel, okay, these many points we are going to make. So we are going to make all of them. We forget what the flow is. The general flow should always be a logical sequence moving from one issue to another, one point to another in a gradual manner. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Okay. To everyone who are raising their hands, please feel free to write, whatever queries you have in the chat box there. My colleague Neha is there and she'll answer them throughout the webinar on the chat box. Whatever questions you have regarding moods, please feel free to write in the Q&A box. So Aditya and Shashank, you guys raised your hands. I hope I answered the queries that you have. Also, guys, we'll be taking a sample mood problem and I'll show you exactly step by step how to approach a mood. So don't worry about it that, how do you approach a mood problem after just reading the mood proposition. So for all of that, we'll be taking you guys in the webinar, we'll be taking you through all the steps. So that's about it. I think we'll start in around 10 minutes. Thank you so much for your patience. Uh, whatever questions you have about Manopatra usage, you can write them in the Q&A box and we'll take them. About what a moot is, as I believe a lot of you are first years and you haven't even been to college yet. So all these questions I'll be taking initially in the webinar. Don't worry about it. Guys, I was just reading through the questions. So before we start, we'll I'll just take them since we have 10 minutes before we start. So, what a moot is, it's essentially a replica of your courtroom, trials. So, after you graduate as a lawyer, your primary objective is that you're going to go into a courtroom and fight cases. So, during law school, we do that as a moot court exercise. So it's exactly the same thing. It's a bit more detailed. You're taught a lot of things. That's because to prepare you for different kind of courts. There are different kind of courts all over the country, all over the world. So to prepare you for that, there are different kind of moots. Also, how do you cite cases from Manupatra? Guys, always like Manupatra allows you copy paste, and whenever you unlimited words of copy paste also. So whenever you copy something, and I'll show you that, and you paste it into your Word document, it will show you, it will exactly, how do I say it? I'll show you there. But your footnote that you need will be copied with it. So all you need to do is, paste it as a footnote. So your case name, your paragraph number, all like how exactly you're supposed to cite, that comes automatically when you copy from Manupatra. And we're the only database to provide that. And there's no limit on the numbers of words you can copy and paste in your document. So especially for Moot Memorial or any kind of research, that feature I feel is very, very helpful to students. So yeah, all the questions we'll take towards the end of the webinar. Before that, I'll walk you through exactly what a moot is. I'll show you a sample moot problem, and then we'll kind of go through the entire process on how you research for a moot on Manupatra, and what are the features that we have that reduce your research time and make it very, very efficient. Okay, so just be patient, 5 more minutes and we'll start. Thank you. Also, guys, if any of your friends are unable to join, because we have a lot of participants here, and in case they are not able to join, we are streaming this live on YouTube. So, you can connect that also. Thank you. Guys, whatever questions you have, you can keep writing them in the Q&A box, and we'll take all of them towards the end of the webinar. We'll be just starting in the next 2 minutes. Thank you so much for your patience. Okay, guys, so we'll start now. Before that, if any of you have, friends who can't join, because we have a lot of participants, and I feel that, the room might get full or whatever. So we are streaming this live on YouTube, and the links are available even on our LinkedIn handles. So if you have any friends who want to join, kindly share this with them. So also, any questions you have throughout the webinar, you can write it in the chat box. We have my colleague Neha there, and she'll be taking the questions on the chat box if you have any queries anywhere. If you face any technical glitches, please write it there. We'll check on our end, and if that becomes an issue, kindly relog in, and we'll take it from there. Also, I hope this webinar is really, really helpful for you. So we'll just start into. Okay, everyone. So we'll start now. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. Welcome to the Manupatra webinar on how to prepare for a Moot with Manupatra. We are really glad to have you all here. This is Soumya, your host for the webinar. I am a graduate from CNLU and I'm currently working with Manupatra. During my college days, I was an active mooter. I participated in a lot of moots, notably the Henry Dunant International Humanitarian Law Moot, as well as the Stetson, environmental law moot, and more. With me, towards the end of the webinar, I'll have Anchal, who is a graduate from CNLU and a postgrad from NUS. During her college days, she was also an active mooter, and she was also the convener of the Gujarat, the GNLU Moot Court Society. Now she is practicing in the Delhi High Court and is regularly judging moots throughout the country. So whatever questions you have from a judge's perspective also, you can ask her towards the end of the webinar. So yeah, we'll start now. Now, before we start, just one quick poll. It would be great if you guys could just enter which year of law school you are in, so that we have a better understanding of the demographic breakup of, the audience that we have. So I'll just launch this poll, and if you could please respond. Thank you. Okay, guys. So as you can see, we have a lot of first years and second years here. So that I'll keep that in mind while walking you through the webinar. So thank you so much for sharing this. Now we'll officially begin with the session. So I'll just, I'm sure all of you can see my screen. Just a second. Okay, so okay, so how do you prepare for a moot with Manopatra? First of all, since a lot of you are asking right now what exactly a moot is, and we have a lot of first years here. So moot is a replica of the courtroom exercise. Okay, it's a replica courtroom exercise. So whatever you once you graduate, you will be practicing in law courts. So to prepare you better for that, we have this moot court exercise that is done in law schools. It's very important in a lot of aspects. It helps you build your CV, obviously. When you're interning, also when you apply for places for opportunities, they look at how much mooting experience you have, because it gives you a very good research background as well as a speaker background. So both kind of experiences you get. So that's about what a moot is. If you have any more questions regarding it, please feel free to write in the chat or in the Q&A, and my colleague Neha or Achal, any one of them would be more than happy to answer these questions. So first of all, what are the basics of a moot preparation? First is understanding what the moot proposition is saying. Okay, so someone just asked that, okay, how do we approach once you have read, the moot proposition? So the next step is understanding it. All these individual steps I'll be walking you through throughout the webinar. So don't worry about it. This is just to give you an idea of what the flow would be. The next is identifying the applicable laws to your moot proposition. So if you have not heard, there are different kind of moots. There are national moots, there are international moots, there are arbitration moots, there are environmental law moots. Okay, so every moot proposition has its own set of applicable laws. So it's very important to understand and use them. The next is formulation of the issues. Okay, so once you've read through the proposition and you've understood it, you're either the plaintiff or the prosecutor or the appellant side, or you're the defendant or the respondent side. Okay, so from that perspective, you're going to make arguments what are on the core issues. Okay, so first you need to formulate according to the moot proposition what the core issues are. The next step is to support those issues with your own arguments which are in your favor, and then you rely on authorities. So when you're practicing in an actual court, you don't need to cite a lot of case laws or different kind of authorities. But in moots, always remember the credibility of what you're saying, of your memorial, depends on how well you have, how many authorities you have cited, how many cases you have referred to, if you referred to law commission reports, if you've referred to cases from different countries, from different courts. So all this becomes very, very important. Also, if you have referred books, scholarly articles, a huge gambit of authorities are there that you need to refer to in your moot memorials. I can understand that this may sound very daunting, but right now on Manupatra, I'll just show you how you can do it very easily. Okay, so then again, as I just said, you need to find Indian and international authorities to support your arguments. And the last step is how to build your compendium. Okay, so as we have a lot of first years, you guys are not aware of what a compendium is. Suppose I say a particular, if I'm talking about right to privacy, and I cite the Puttuswamy case, that I'm sure everyone is aware of, Essentially, when you're going for a moot, you need to print out the entire judgment and keep it with you, so that if a judge asks, you can show, ma'am, this is, or sir, your lordship, your ladyship, that this is the case, this is what I've referred to, so that if they need a bit of reference on the case, they can read it, okay, or they can see that you've cited exactly and you have not minced words or changed anything, okay. So compendium is your credibility of whatever your submissions are, okay. So that's about what we are going to discuss through this entire webinar. There are going to be a lot more points as we go forward. So I hope those are all helpful. Also, given that me and Archil both have a law background, I hope that our perspectives would be helpful to you in, understanding how to move essentially better. So the next, I'll just move on. The next slide. So. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you a sample mood problem. I'm going to leave it on screen for 2 minutes for you guys to read through it. Also, I'll read it out loud so that if there are any font issues or internet issues on your end, you don't miss any point. Also, remember, mood problems are never 100% correct. Okay, there are always going to be points which favor one party and other points which favor the other party. Okay, so this mood problem, I've kept it very basic and purposefully I have kept things here which raise a lot of questions in your head, or which are predominantly you would feel okay, this is wrong, and then it has been made into a situation so that you can understand better. I hope that was it. So Ajay and Rahul are a happy couple who have been together for the last 5 years. They both work in the same MNC in Mumbai and have been living together since the start of lockdown in March 2020. While Ajay has been open about his sexual orientation, Rahul has still not publicly acknowledged the same, and even his parents are unaware of this. On an unfortunate day of March 2021, Rahul's landlord bursts into his flat without informing him and finds both of them in a compromised position, involved in sexual acts. He had gone there to collect the rent. Seeing them in such a position and without letting them utter a word, the landlord rushes to the nearby police station and lodges an FIR stating that his tenant has been using his flat to commit obscene acts. Okay. The police raided the flat, seized some material on homosexuality, their private pictures, and arrested Ajay and Ram. So if you guys could just write in the chat box that this was like you all have read through it. Okay. Neha ma'am, if you could please let me know. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Now, the next part of this. So sorry, guys, there's some issue with Microsoft PowerPoint today. So, just a second. So again, beginning from there, the media sensationalize the arrests as they do, and when Rahul's parents come to know, they file an FIR against Ajay under Section 377, alleging that this was non-consensual and he forced himself, upon Rahul. Scared, Rahul doesn't deny these allegations in front of his parents or the police. The police action has been registered as the bursting of a sex racket, and both of them have been remanded to judicial custody on the 28th of March 2021, where they were allegedly beaten up. They were charged under sections 377 for unnatural offences of the Indian Penal Code. Their bail applications were rejected twice, first by the CJM and then the district judge Mumbai. Finally, in April 2021, Ajay and Rahul are being awarded an imprisonment of 7 terms by the lower court, and in their current problem, they are preferred in appeal against the sentence under the Bombay High Court. Okay, so if you guys have read through this, if you guys please, let us know. Okay. Okay, so just a second, guys. Now we'll move on to the first step. Okay, but before we move on to the first step, I'll launch another poll. You guys have just read throughout the Moot proposition, and so if you could you know like now I'll explain to you how do you read a Moot proposition, which is the first step. Okay, so first, like the most important step when you first read a Moot problem is to identify the relevant and irrelevant facts. Okay, so what this does is the first step of your Moot memorial is to write the statement of facts. Okay, which is essentially a summary of the entire Moot problem. Okay, so how do you do that? You do that through reading through the Moot proposition very carefully and identifying what are the relevant facts and what are the irrelevant facts. Okay, this helps you in further formulating the issues and the sub-issues. As someone had asked, how do you frame your arguments? Understanding the Moot proposition comes at the core of everything. Okay, so there's a quick bonus tip here. Whenever you're making a statement of facts, always make it in a tabular timeline form. Okay, so before we go any further, I'll just launch another poll. Okay, so that you can see, um, you know, just to have your opinion on what you feel are the relevant or irrelevant facts here. Okay, so I'll just launch this now. Read through it and answer carefully. Okay, guys, so as you can see, we have the results in, and there's obviously a variety of opinion that there is. So, majority of you feel, around 45% of you, that the application of Section 377 in 2021 is the most relevant fact here. Some of you feel that the arrest of Ajay and Rahul is the most relevant fact. Some of you feel that they cohabiting together was it. All of you have these different opinions about it, and that's what it becomes when you first read an argument. Okay, so now that we have gone through this again, the majority is right. The application of 377 in 2021 is such a huge thing. That's the most relevant fact here. So what do? You first read the section. Now the section very explicitly says that this excludes non-consensual acts. If you go and read back into the Moot proposition, you would see that Rahul hadn't come out about his sexuality, and his parents alleged that Ajay was forcing himself on Rahul. Okay. So that becomes non-consensual. That's how moots work. That's how you approach a problem. You identify the relevant facts, then you look at the laws, and then you move on further. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Now we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so just give me a second. Okay, so I'll quickly move on to the next slide. Okay, so the next step is formulation of issues once you have understood the problem. Okay, so this is where I'll show you on Manupatra how using just different searches on Manupatra would be very helpful to you to conclude the keywords that give you the most relevant results. Okay, so there are features like near each other. As the name says, you can search if these words are placed near each other, then that would show you the relevant results. You can also say that, search in results to zero in on the keywords. Also, you can use keywords to formulate key issues and sub-issues into the structure of your arguments. Very quickly, I would like to address something. A lot of you have been saying to, also speak in Hindi. And it's just that we have a lot of participants from the West, from the South, who wouldn't essentially understand Hindi. So I'm so sorry about it. But if there's any point, if you want a webinar on Manopatra, on Moots in Hindi, please, write it in the chat window, and we'll, definitely do it sometime. Also, if you go to the Manopatra YouTube, we have walked you through the entire Manopatra database and how to search on it in Hindi as well. And you can, look it up there. So sorry about it, and thank you. So now we'll move on to the next step. After formulation of issues, you need to understand what the applicable laws are. Now here, after reading the proposition, it is section 377. It's IPC. Again, Obscene Act, section 294 IPC. Okay. So a lot of you are first years. How do you go about it? I'll show you on Manupatra. You can go into the Bare Act. You can search these words and you'll find, the relevant sections, laws, whatever are there. Okay. So now I'll just take you to the Manupatra website where I'll show you how to actually go about these searches. Okay, so when you subscribe to Manupatra, when you just log in, also all of your colleges would have Manupatra access, and you can always use that. If you need any assistance about it, please feel free to reach us at contact@manupatra.com. Now, moving on. First of all, I'd like to start with how you begin your search after understanding the Moot proposition. Okay, so just a quick show of hands if everyone is following up to here, and there's no issues. Cool. Thank you so much, guys, for raising your hands. So now I'll start with explaining how you begin your search. Okay, so what do you normally do when you have to search something? You go to Google, right? Now, Manu Search here is your Google equivalent of a legal research database. Okay, so just a second. This is what Manu Search looks like. Okay, as you can see, it's a free text search. You have all the options here. You can also, search for synonyms and everything. So just quickly, what do you write here? Out of the entire proposition that we understood, we definitely understood that it was about homosexuality, right? That's one word that you definitely got out of it. I'm keeping it very basic for the first year. So homosexuality, that is definitely a part of the problem, I'll just type it in here. And we'll just run this search, okay, on Manu search. It's your Google equivalent of a legal research database, okay. As you can see, just the word homosexuality got me around 1000 results. You can see Navdev Singh Johar, all of you guys have given CLAT, have given various law entrances, and you know, and you know about it, that this is the case that actually, decriminalized Section 377. Okay. Now, what I want to show you two things here. One is that it's a free text search. Whatever you want to type in, you can type it. Also, always make sure to keep it broad, and then I'll show you what features you can use to, streamline your research and actually reach your issues. But before that, I'd like to show you a few more things. First of all, as you can see in this result, you have cases, you have articles, you have US cases, okay? So once you search for something on Manupatra, you have Bangladesh High Court. You get a bunch of different results which are the most relevant, okay? And it would not just be case laws, it would not just be judgments from India, So the fact that you need to have a basket of authorities in your Moot memorial, you get it right from one place, okay? Now that you know that, okay, these are the relevant cases on homosexuality, but in your Moot proposition, there's been an arrest, which is also very, very relevant. How do you go about it? There's this button called search and results. I just ticked it, okay? Search in result is actually nested search, okay? So once you get a list of probable judgments, you do not make a fresh search again. Within those probable judgments or authorities only, you make the next search. Here I know that the next relevant part is that there has been an arrest on homosexuality. Okay, so I'll just write the word arrest here. Okay, and I'll refine it. So you refine this search, the existing first search that you got, with the word arrest. Okay, you can see whatever searches you make, that would be logically displayed here. Okay. Now, once you put arrest there, you find that Navdev Singh Johar comes as the most relevant results. You all are law students. You all already know this, that when you're looking at homosexuality and arrest, this would be your most relevant case to look at. And I just showed you how in just one step, you get the most relevant result on Manopatra. That's why I kept the problem so simple. Okay. Again, you get a bundle of results from different, authorities here. Pakistan High Court, Supreme Court, e-books, everything that you need to cite in your memorials, that you need to be a part of your research, would be available here. Okay. Also, now that I've shown you Manu search, if there are any queries regarding that, or if you want to understand anything else, please write it in the chat window. Also, while the others are doing that, I'll just walk you through a few more things. So again, these results you can filter by different, filters. So as you can see, we have courts here. Suppose in this particular case, the case is in the Bombay High Court, right? Now you know that Bombay High Court is only bound by its own precedents. It's not bound by the precedents of Patna High Court or, Gujarat High Court. In that case, I'll just select Bombay. But it's also, bound by the Supreme Court judgments. Now, when I look at Bombay High Court, I see only there's one case there. I can cite that says arrest and homosexuality. Similarly, you can look at keywords from here. You can look at, what timeline you want, what publishers you want. Things like that. Since there's only one case, we have limited filters here. I hope this was helpful. Bhavya is asking about citations. About citations, I'll just, stay with us for 5-10 minutes and I'll show you how to do that. The next part that I want to show you is legal search. Okay. So now for Manu search or for a proposition, you can always, do your free Google search there. Legal search is when you have a particular section in mind that you want to search for. Okay. So again, you have section 377. Okay. Someone is asking what cited and Manupatra means. Just bear with us 5 minutes. I'll explain all these points. Okay. So now coming back to what I was saying, if you have a mood proposition, you can obviously search it on Manu search, which is our equivalent of Google search or free text search. But suppose you have a particular section from a particular app that you want to search. Okay. How do you go about that? So again, you can search appellant respondent if you have a case and all. There are different kind of features that are available there. The next is how do you search for judgments based on a particular section of an app or a relevant section. Now, relevant section is that particular section formed the crux of the judgment that we are talking about. Okay. So in this case, you know that section 377 IPC is the core of the problem that you have. How do we go about it? This is the particular search that you can refer to. You just select which kind of act you're looking for. You're looking for a Central Indian act. You just have to type 3 characters. I type IPC here. I get the option of Indian Penal Code. This is a section that I'm looking for. I'll select the section. And I'll just type 377 here. And I'll search. What I'm trying to do is that if you have whatever kind of problem you have, whatever your first point of reference becomes after understanding the mood proposition, there's an available interface on Manopatra that you can use to search for it. Okay. So as you see, I just did this search, and under that search, I these are the results that I've got. Mukesh and others versus State of NCT, Delhi and others. Navtesh Singh Johar. All these are the most important cases on section 377. Okay, and as you saw, just through one field, I was able to reach these results. Okay, so that's about legal search. Again, it gives you the same option. Once you have that, these are the judgments from particular section. You can always start by writing something here and refining the search. Arrest again, you get the same things. Okay, so this is again another search interface on Manupatra. The next thing that I want to show you is assisted search. Okay, so assisted search again, similar to what your free text search is, but here you can use Boolean search as well. Okay, so suppose you want, like in this particular instance, we'll take the same example of homosexuality and arrest. Now, whatever judgments that I'm looking for, whatever authorities I'm looking for, I want arrest and homosexuality to be there. Okay, so in that case, I'll write both the words here: arrest, homosexuality. Okay, and I'll take the synonym also. Okay? If there are any synonyms of the word, please, I need those results as well. It again broadens, the kind of relevant results you'll get. And again, as you can see, I got 267 results. Again, Navtesh Singh Johar is the most important judgment in this regard. You can also see that there are a bunch of, a variety of authorities that have come. There's annual reports, there's, United States cases, there are world reports. All of, there's Supreme Court of Pakistan. So a huge bunch of authorities you'll be getting so that you can use and cite them in your memorials. So I hope that this is helpful so far. So now we'll just move on to the next part of this webinar. If you guys have any questions so far, please feel free to write it in the comment section. So I've been looking at all the questions that you guys have. So can you see my screen? Neha, if you could just tell me what you see on my screen right now.
So I see the judgments here on your screen.
Okay, thank you. So if everything is clear so far, now we'll move on to why you do this on Manupatra. I showed you the different search interfaces essentially in a way that if you understand a moot proposition, there are different ways in which you can search for it. Now, specifically for moots, what features does Manupatra offer? I'll just walk you through them now. Okay. So, just a second. So, just to show you more features on Manupatra, on how it makes moot research even more simpler, I'll just start with this judgment. So first of all, someone asked how what is cited in Manupatra, right? So for cited in Manupatra, essentially provides you the number of times this particular judgment has been cited in Manupatra. Once you click on it, you get a list of all the judgments. As you saw, it said 44 plus times it was cited. It's been cited 48 times. That entire list of judgments you found here. What does that do? Suppose you have a moot proposition. You found one case which is relevant to you and is in favor of you. Now you want to, like, this feature helps you find similar cases, where this particular case has been cited. That is, they are going to be on the same issue. Either this case would have been affirmed or rejected or whatever. Again, that would also be, that is also something that we cover, and I'll show you in a separate feature. So this gives you a list of all the judgments in which on Manupatra this particular judgment has been cited. Okay. Someone said that once we open something, how do we go back? We are unable to go back. So you never use the back button. Just click on results here. Okay, and it will open the last search results that you had. So you would go back essentially in the list of judgments or the search results that you have. So once I click on it, just a second. Here, since I clicked on cited in Manapatra, it doesn't show the same way. Again, I'll just show you for Navdeep Singh Johanna. So cited in Manupatra, I hope I covered well. The next is when you open a judgment. I opened this judgment from here. As you saw, it turned blue. So whenever you search on Google or anywhere else, and if you've opened the link, the color changes, so you know that you've already gone through, that particular judgment. The same is on Manupatra as well. Now, first of all, this is the Manu citation. Someone was asking about citation. Also, once you click on this, it will show you all the equivalent citations. Okay, so in AIR where it was cited, in Bombay criminal law reports where it was cited, whatever different kind of different places it has been cited, all those citations you would get in one place. Okay, now coming back to the judgment itself, we offer you a variety of AI tools which help you in making your research easier. Okay, so I'll walk you through all of those. Now, the first that we would look at is what I feel, one of the most important features that we have. So that is the case map. Okay. What case map essentially is, it's a visualization tool. Okay, so it shows you the, like I showed you on cited in Manupatra. Whenever in future the judgment has been cited, it would show you in a visualization form. Neha, if you could please tell me if you can see the case map or not.
Can't see the case map.
Okay. Now can you see it?
Yes, can see it.
Okay, great. So, this is how the case map looks like. It's a visualization tool. As you can see, the subject judgment that is there, that is placed at the center. Once you hover over it, you can see that all the cases that it has the cases that were referred to that in this particular judgment would come on your left side, and all the cases that it was referred in comes on your right side. Okay. Also, these different colored arrows, they depict different things. And what do they exactly depict? There's a legend that is provided here. Okay. So once you look at that, the blue line shows that it was mentioned in these particular judgments. The yellow shows that it was discussed. Okay. So now there's a difference between mentioned and discussed as well. If it was mentioned in passing, it's no use in your mood. Okay. But if it was discussed, that means intricacies of the judgment were discussed. There's probably something that you can use in your mood. This saves you a lot of research time that would have been otherwise wasted by going through individual judgments. Okay. So I hope everyone is following through. Again, size of the circles essentially shows the number of times this particular case was cited. Okay. Now there would be other different kind of arrows as well. And the case was overruled, which Navdev Singh Johar hasn't been up to yet. So if it was overruled, a red line would be there. There are other features on how we show you an overruled case and stuff. I'll show you that as well going forward. But essentially, this is what case map is. Also, when I hover over the case in the middle, it would show me exactly how many times the citing reference, how many times this case has been further discussed. 115 times. It's also been dissented once. The case note of the case. Every information that you need to just go through the case to understand if it's helpful to your proposition or not, you get it in one place here. Okay. So that's about it. Now I'll walk you through the other features. The next feature that I want to talk about is cited in para. Okay. So what is cited in para? Now in the previous one, you knew okay, this judgment has been cited. If you clicked on the judgment, it would open, in a fresh window. However, if you want to know the exact paragraph where it was cited in future judgments, you can do that. Also, this is provided in a chronological manner. The last time that Navdev Singh Johar was discussed was just on 25th of March, a couple of weeks ago in the Supreme Court. Now you can see that it was discussed in this case. Once you click on this plus icon here, you can see the exact judgment when it was discussed. Okay. Again, you can copy paste any of it directly. There's no limit to words. This really helps you in making your research simpler and even collating your research, making your memorial, everything. Now again, you can see that for all the judgment. It also shows you how many times this case was cited in that particular judgment. Okay. So if you want to know the exact paragraphs where the case was cited in para is your way to go. If there are any questions so far, please write it in the chat window. And Neha, if there's anything there is, you can just prompt me there. Okay. So now moving forward, again, I would like to briefly discuss this that you can print this document in PDF. You can email it directly from Manupatra to someone else. You don't need to download the judgment. You don't need to do anything else. You just need to, you can just share it directly from Manupatra. Okay. No need to attach again, email again, any of that. Okay. The next, all these features are there. What I would like to walk you through next is, the kind of head notes and case notes and editorial notes that we provide. Now, when you find a judgment which is relevant to you, you do not have the time to go through the entire judgment, right? If you keep reading through, entire judgments, that would take you a lot of time and research. So how do you cut on that time? You do that by going through the case note that has been provided. So in Manopatra, we provide you a very detailed case note. Also other information regarding the cases, who the judges were, who the counsels were, what subject it was. All of this is provided, what the catchwords were, where it was further mentioned, what's the most relevant section. As you can see, it's section 377. All the acts and acts and statutes that were discussed in this case. So Sexual Offences Act, Mental Health Care Act, all this was discussed in this case. Again, that has been provided here. What were the cases referred in this case, with hyperlink. If you click on any of these, this fresh judgment will open. Okay. So many cases were referred. What other authorities were referred? Dictionaries were referred. Which case did it overrule? Now, all of us are aware that this overruled the NAS Foundation case, right? So that has been provided here. Again, how many times this case has been discussed, dissented, mentioned, all that is provided here. So next and most importantly, the case note is provided. So it gives you a brief on the case. It gives you what the facts are regarding the case. It gives you what was held, in this particular case with the, paragraph number. If you directly want, if I click on this, it would take me to the paragraph where this was done. Okay. So everything on Manapatra is hyperlinked. You don't need to switch windows again and again to find something. Once you find one good case, as as I just showed you through different features, you can, from one good case, you can find, 10 more relevant judgments to your propositions, different kind of authorities to your propositions. Okay. That's the most important thing when you're making a memorial, the kind of authorities that you're citing. So again, I hope, everyone is following through right now. If there are any other questions, please keep writing them in the chat window, and I'm sure Achal and Neha are taking them. Now we'll move on to the next part of the webinar. Just give me a second. So now that we have discussed, some of the features that Manupatra provides and how it helps you in assisting, in your Moot research, I'd also like to show you a few more things, that we offer, which are our special tools, and that can again, if you use those points, no one else is doing it. You can't find those points anywhere else. So that really would, strengthen the arguments that you're making. Okay. So one cool feature that we have is that we have judge analytics. Okay, so every judge, everyone is a human. So they have their own predisposed notions. Okay, a lot of these judges go on to further become arbitration judges. So then when you're approaching someone, it's very helpful if you have an idea of how they are or how they were when they were giving judgments in courts, what kind of judgments they give. Okay, so again, judge analytics is something that provides you that information. Okay, so as you saw, I just opened it for Justice Deepak Mishra. This shows his, year-wise judgment pronouncement. Okay, so the number of judgments he authored, how many times he was a part of the bench. Year-wise, again, I have that. Then subject-wise judgment pronounces. How many criminal cases did he judge? How many civil cases did he judge? How many service cases did he judge? Who were the counsels who appeared before him? Mukul Rohtagi appeared so many times. Okay. Now, which judges did he cite? What judges was he cited by? How many judgments did he, appeals did he allow? What kind of cases did he cite? What, everything regarding a judge, you'll get it in a visualization form, but not just a visualization form, also in the way of a tabular form. Now, suppose I want to know all the criminal judges that, on which he has pronounced a judgment. I just click here and I would get a fresh list, okay, of all the cases that, of all the criminal cases that he has pronounced. So again, a feature that we offer that is very interesting if you want to get, a perspective on a judge. Okay. So other than that, quickly, I would like to walk you through, if you want to look at what are the kind of authorities that we cover. Okay, suppose you're not going by proposition, or you're not satisfied with, just the authorities that are coming when you're searching for something, and if you want to look at something else, or just know the kind of cases or the database that we cover. We obviously cover the Supreme Court, we cover the High Courts and other courts, tribunals, commissions, international database. We have the US from the 1700s. So we cover all their cases that, are showed in the results. Again, we cover modules, suppose corporate law, competition law, all those modules we cover specifically. Okay. Also, what are the Bear Acts? We cover all the Bear Acts, chronological, alphabetical. We cover whatever new bills and ordinances are there, forms, ebooks, articles, academic ebooks. All of that you can find on Manupatra if you want to search, and use them in your Moot memos. The last part that I want to discuss is building your compendium. So, as I discussed in the beginning, what a compendium is, I hope everyone is clear about it. If you have any question regarding that, just please write it in the chat window right now. If you understand what a compendium is. Okay. So essentially, whatever authorities you're citing in your Moot memo, all that you need to take, authenticated official printouts and keep it with you. So that if a judge wants to look at an authority that you have cited, you can easily show them as a reference. Okay. So that's what a compendium is. But how do you go about that? Someone just asked, I saw a question that are the judgments or the paragraphs that are here the same as the original judgments? Yes, they are, and they're same as the other databases. Okay. But a lot of times what publishers do is that, they would mix up paragraph numbers because it does not meet their formatting guidelines. Okay. And this is something that you should never be boggled by. So although we take absolutely utmost care that that is never the case on Manopatra, we still provide you a print replica. What is a print replica? Print replica provides you the exact code copy of the judgment that you can download and use it in your Moot compendiums. Okay. So that is how you can know that you have the code copy and you can present it before any judge, and there would never be any issue about the credibility of the documents that you're citing. So that's about it. So we are almost, we have exceeded the time a little. So sorry about that. But now we open the house to taking whatever questions you guys have. Okay. So we'll just go about it. Actually, do you want to pitch in now?
Hi, Soumya.
Hi.
Can
Okay, you can see all the queries that have been there.
Yes, I've been seeing the queries. I think some people want you to teach them how to use citation search. I did notice, I think there were a lot of queries on how to use Manupatra generally. So, I mean, I think I would suggest you to take another session next weekend and help them out.
Sure, please, write to us, or even towards the end, just write it in the chat box if you need another session. Also, if you guys need, want sessions for your college or for yourself, contact@manupatra.com. Just drop us a mail and we'll definitely get back to you.
So, Soumya, I think you are getting a lot of queries with respect to how the features, and one of them that just popped up is if you select the TOC, does it change your search results?
Okay,
I don't think it does.
Should I just take this quickly?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so essentially TOC is not just our database coverage. It shows you exactly, if you just want to search Supreme Court judgments, suppose, and you don't want to go through the filters that come later. I'll just check Supreme Court here. I'm just going to type, suppose gender justice. Okay. What's my hashtag? Just type gender justice here. And I've already ticked, the Supreme Court checkbox in the table of contents. Now what happens? I get all the results. I got around 24,274 results, but all of these are from the Supreme Court of India.
I think there's an issue somewhere. I think your spelling of gender, there's a typo.
Yeah.
If you correct that, you'll get
evenness. So now that you see gender justice, only 158 judgments have been given by the Supreme Court. All I did was check it in the TOC there, and I got only the judgments from that one particular court that I have. Similarly, if I did it for any of the high courts or any of the tribunals, it works the same way. So it also acts as an acts as an additional filter if I want. Someone is asking about act of God. Yes, you can find cases related to act of God as well. We have a very famous query on whether a cactus is a fruit or a vegetable, and there was a judgment that was pronounced on that. So even those judgments are here. Whatever search you want to make, that's why we provide you the Google equivalent, which is our Manu search, and you can find judgments there. Okay. So actually, should we take the rest of the questions that have come in the Q&A?
Sure, I think we should. So one was how to cite from Manupatra.
Okay.
So as Soumya had pointed out, that where the Manu citation is, so you will use the Manupatra citation to cite.
Okay. Also, not like if you don't want to go through the citation process, I'll just show you how you can easily get what your citation is that you need to use in the footnote. Because again, that becomes a huge pressure when you're making Moot memorials, right? So here I'll just open the notepad on my screen. I hope everyone can see my screen. Okay. So what I did right now, I've selected this part. There's no limit to the number of words you can copy from Manupatra. I copied it. I'll just paste it in the notepad. The citation is right here. I didn't copy this. So whenever I copy from any part of a judgment or a document, the citation automatically comes with it when you paste it in your document. Okay. So then you don't have to worry about finding the citation. Okay. However, as Anshul was pointing out, if you need to see any other equivalent citations for it, just go here, click on this, you'll find all the equivalent citations if you want to use. So, now that's it.
So some questions that we received were relating to how do you do an authority check? So when you're citing in a memorial any judgment, or if it is a high court judgment that is most relevant to your facts of the case, I would suggest that you should first look for whether or not it was appealed in the Supreme Court. If it was, then what was the judgment? If you do not find any appellate judgment in that, whether if it was a high court single bench judgment, then you need to look for a division bench judgment that supports your case, or you need to look for a Supreme Court. But and at the same time, you can cite all your relevant high court and Supreme Court judgments in your memorial, and that will help your case.
Actually, if you could just take one question, we received it in the very beginning. It was like, what should be the general flow of arguments? Okay. And I feel that, that's something that maybe we should address.
So your flow of arguments actually comes right from your facts. So like Soumya had shared that tiny mood problem. So when you start searching, you should like start formulating your arguments on the basis of the facts. Because if you are for say the government, then you will formulate your arguments in a very different manner as compared to if you were for the accused at the time. So that should be like key when you are formulating your arguments, and then you should support with case law. So it's going to be facts and then a judgment supporting you. Do not always give the judgment right up front, because the person sitting on the other side as a judge would always want to know what the facts of your case are and how you are linking the facts of your case to the judgment.
Okay. Okay. So there were more questions, mostly about, like general questions. One that has just come is that can a search be run under a judgment? Okay. So, should I just open a judgment and show?
Yes, you can just use this one itself, Vishaka.
So once I open this case, do you see this search and search tab here? Essentially, this is when you want to search inside a judgment. Okay. So suppose I want to write sexual harassment. It would show me where it was discussed. Okay. So again, sexual harassment, gender, wherever it was, it would show me that thing. So that's how you do like search within a search. So guys, if you have any other questions, please write it down, because we have already exceeded our time by 15 minutes. Okay. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you, Achal, for joining in and being there throughout the session and answering everyone's queries, absolutely live and just when they ask throughout the session. If you guys want,
Thank you for having me.
if any one of you wants a repeat session or wants a session for your college, please feel free to write to us. For all of those asking about Manupatra subscriptions, most of your colleges would provide it. Also, if not, please write to us at contact@manopatra.com, and then we can address it there. So I really hope that this session was helpful, and that we were able to address all the questions that you had, and that we were able to communicate on how to prepare for a Moot with Manupatra easily. So just thank you everyone for joining in. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, Soumya. Thanks, Neha.
Thank you so much, everyone.